Russ Evans with you, Golf Exchange, presented by the Honda Classic. We're making our way towards 11 o'clock this morning, and joining us now on the line is a friend of the program, professional golfer Ewan Porter. 2 career Web.com Tour victories, the 2008 Muna Classic and the 2010 South Georgia Classic. Ewan, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problems. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I definitely want to talk about your book. It's a bestseller, #1 on Amazon's golf category, also #1 on the iTunes sports books category. Tour Confidential, Triumph and Torment, a golfer's life on the global stage. But before we get to the book, give me an idea for your background as a professional golfer.
I turned pro when I was 19, and that was back in 2001, and I'm at the wise old age of 30 now, so I've been a pro for 11 years, and I guess I felt I was in a very unique position to be able to write this book. The fact that I have tasted some success, and I've been very close to that carrot that dangles in front of professional golfers, which is the PGA Tour, but most of the time has been spent banging my head against a wall, and that wall could be a hotel wall in the middle of nowhere, and it's an uncomfortable feeling, and one that we all face at some time or another.
Is it kind of a lonely existence from time to time as a pro golfer?
Oh, definitely. There's no question, but that's why I think it's very important to have a good team of people around you, and you always see the best players in the world travel with their entourages, and it can be very difficult to do that because it's obviously it's a great financial expense to be able to do that, but it definitely helps to have a mentor, good friends around you, because life on the road can be tough.
So as I mentioned, you wrote this book last year, and it's become a bestseller over the last several months. Tour Confidential, Triumph and Torment, a golfer's life on the global stage. What was the reason you decided to write the book?
To be honest with you, it wasn't until I got to about the 20,000 word mark when I realized that I could put something out there that could be very eye-opening for the public, and basically the best way for me to explain it is I try to take the reader on the emotional roller coaster that we as professional golfers endure on a weekly basis, and I also thought that I could open the eyes up to aspiring professional golfers as to some of the things they can expect down the line, and it was kind of therapeutic for me in writing this because I stopped playing last year for a little while, and when I sat back and realized where I'd gone wrong along the line, I thought to myself, I guess it was an opportunity for me to use that as a guideline for me in the future when I do get back out there and play, to not make the same mistakes.
We're joined by Ewan Porter, professional golfer, 2-time Web.com Tour winner, and we're discussing his book, the bestseller, Tour Confidential, Triumph and Torment, a golfer's life on the global stage. Russ Evans, Golf Exchange Radio. So, Ewan, it's been incredibly well received. A lot of individuals in the golfing community and even not in the golfing community really think this is a hit.
I have been a little, I wouldn't say surprised. I guess when I released it a couple of months ago, I was just unsure, having not done anything like this before. I was unsure of how it would be received, and to have superstars like, Keegan Bradley and Graham McDowell, Bo Van Pelt and Jason Duffner, there's a couple of other guys on the tour that have tweeted about it, and the reviews so far, 95% of them have been really, really fantastic. They've been 4 and 5 stars, and of course there's been a couple of people who haven't liked it, but I mean that comes with the territory, and that also is something that I've got to get used to, because obviously you can't please everybody, but I'm very proud of what I've done, and whether it sold 10 copies or whether it sells 1 million copies, I mean that's great for me, but I've kind of thought that if I can help 1 or 2 players sort of avoid the same mistakes I did, then the book's served its purpose, really.
Ewan, I'd imagine in the book you cover how incredibly competitive professional golf is. Just give us an idea, because you've been a pro golfer now for 11 years, and I've said on the show many a times, the game of golf nowadays is so much more competitive than it was 20, 25 years ago. More kids are playing it at a younger age. There are more people around the world playing it. There are countries that are now into golf today that weren't into golf 20, 25 years ago. And, I mean, the amount of players on any given day, if they were to play their best game, their A-plus game, that could win a PGA Tour event, I mean, it's in the thousands, is it not?
Oh, no question. I mean, once again, this all, I guess, refers back to where I felt I was in a very unique position to be able to tell this story, because as you can tell from my accent, I'm from Australia, but I've played all around the world, and no matter where you play around the world, and I've played in over 20 countries now. It's competitive no matter where you go. You can play a mini tour in the United States, the Asian tour. You can play an event in Vietnam, the UK, Australia, New Zealand. It doesn't matter. The cut's under par, 20 under par is winning it. Guys are just really, really good golfers, and it all boils down to being able to make the most of the opportunities when they're presented to you. And I was a beneficiary of that back in 2008 when I won the Moonar Classic. That was jointly sanctioned between the Nationwide Tour back then and the Australasian PGA Tour, and my win there catapulted me onto the Nationwide Tour, and that's the kind of break that we're all looking for, and not everyone is fortunate enough to get that. But golf is just, it's the guys now. I turned professional when I was 19 back in 2001, and I was by far the youngest player out there when I turned pro by a good 4 years. And now, it seems like it's commonplace for guys to be 19 and playing on tour now. And it's a testament to all the junior programs and college programs that are out there now. And it's only going to become more that way in years to come.
Yeah, Ewan, you mentioned that you talk about advice that you were to give if somebody were to come up to you, and a young golfer trying to make it in the professional ranks. What advice would you give them? If you could tell them just one nugget of advice that you think, in your estimation, after 11 years on the tour, is the most important nugget of advice, what would it be?
It's hard to really pinpoint one, but I would definitely say that when you get out there on tour or when you become a professional golfer, stick to what made you a great player. Too often, and I'll be the first to put my hand up and say that I was guilty of doing this, but too often I see professional golfers out there who, they might not be big practices. They might be the type of guy that hits 30 or 40 balls in a practice session and plays 9 holes and goes home, and get out there on tour and you see guys practicing for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and even in 100-degree heat they're doing that. So you kind of think to yourself, well, that's what I've got to do to get better. But there's a reason you became a professional golfer in the first place. There's a reason I got to the Nationwide Tour in the first place. It's because we can all play the game, but you just got to stick to what made you a good player in the first place. And that's probably the number one point I'd say. But the number 2 point would definitely be to try and schedule things out properly, because professional golf is suffering burnout, and playing too many events in a row is definitely a factor. There's no question about it. Over time I've learned that 4 tournaments in a row is sort of my maximum before I start to feel a little both mentally and physically fried. And once again, it works differently for everyone. Stuart Appleby 3 years ago shot a 59 in West Virginia, and that was his 14th event in a row. That's not very often that happens. I think Shez Reavie may have done that a few years ago in Canada as well, but most guys out there generally play 3 or 4 tournaments in a row before going home for a week and racking the clubs. And it's important to do that throughout the season, because, if you're playing 20, 25 events a year, you're going to become a little stale, and just having some time away from golf is very important.
Ewan, I think both of those tips that you gave focus a little more on the mental aspect versus the physical.
Yep.
And isn't that the case with golf? Isn't it primarily mental? If you're a professional golfer and you've made it to the ranks that you have and all these other hundreds of players around the world have, you've got the physical. But what separates the cream of the crop is the mental, is it not?
Oh, definitely. And especially when you're playing 72-hole tournaments each week, there's always going to be mistakes. And in fact, there's mistakes made every single round, but it's a matter of accepting those mistakes, accepting the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Everyone out there is nervous. Everyone out there is going to be hitting poor shots, and you don't always feel like that out there. From experience, I know that I've been out there and hit a poor shot or missed a short putt, and I walk off a hole and I turn around and I see other guys hitting shots 4 feet from the cup and hitting 300-yard drives down the middle of the fairway, and it's easy to think to yourself that you're the only one out there struggling, but that's not the case. That's why it's very important to get in your own little world out there and have tunnel vision, because it's really just you versus the golf course, and as soon as you let any other element or aspect creep into your mind and any doubt creep in there, well, that's when the trouble begins, and it can easily spiral out of control from there.
Interesting stuff. Russ Evans with you, Golf Exchange, presented by the Honda Classic, and we're joined by professional golfer Ewan Porter. 2careerweb.com tour victories, the 2008 Moonah Classic and the 2010 South Georgia Classic, and he has just written a best-selling book, Tour Confidential, Triumph and Torment, A Golfer's Life on the Global Stage. It's hit #1 on Amazon's golf category. It's also #1 of iTunes sports books. You can check him out on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter, at Ewan Ports. On Twitter, at Ewan Ports, Ports. And Ewan, where can listeners get the book?
It's currently an ebook. It's out. It's available, as you said. It's on Amazon. It's on iTunes. There's quite a few other sites that are stocking it at the moment. Barnes & Noble is another one. They're probably the main three. Look, I'm really hoping to release this in print version as a paperback probably by April. There's a lot of contributing factors into that, and as I said, this is my sort of rookie initiation into the publishing world, and it's a very difficult one, and distributing it as an ebook was definitely the easiest option, and with the world of social media these days, I felt I could make a fairly strong push in that regard, and having some high-profile friends both in the golf and sporting industry, I felt that I could get people to put it out there, and word of mouth is still a very powerful tool, and it's so far proved quite successful, and obviously I just want to build it up as much as I can, but I'm very proud of what I've done, and hopefully people will enjoy reading it and seeing what we go through out there on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to you for what you've achieved already with the book, and we wish you nothing but continued success as the sales continue and as you look to get it in print version later this year. How about competitively, or maybe other things, not necessarily competitively? What else do you have on your radar for 2013?
It's very interesting for me. I've still got status out there on the web.com tour, and right now my plan, my focus is to get back out there and give it 100% this season. And obviously the lure of playing for 50 PGA Tour cards this season instead of 25 is that's very appealing with the whole new structure of the PGA Tour. It's nice to have a few other things going on outside of playing as well. I've played for the last 10 years, placing a lot of pressure on myself out there to play well and get to the PGA Tour, and not really having any plan B, or I've just thrown all my eggs into the one basket, which has been the web.com tour, and unfortunately it hasn't panned out for me thus far, but courtesy of my 2 victories, I've still got status out there, and that's a nice little benefit from those wins, and I've got to go out there and knuckle down and give it all I've got. But I think the experience that I've gained from sitting on the sidelines the past 9 to 12 months has probably put me in good stead to have a good season, because I've definitely got a much clearer perspective of what professional golf is all about, and there's no question that we tend to lose the passion for it. We being professional golfers, we definitely get caught up in the world and the hype of professional golf, and I've found that the last 2 to 3 months I've really enjoyed playing the game again, and hopefully that's the case when I get back out on the road. And if it doesn't pan out, well, I'm hoping that all the networking and all the things that I've done over the past few months will allow me to sort of slide into another role of which I wouldn't have been otherwise been able to achieve 9 to 12 months ago. So I'm proud of myself in that regard, but at the age of 30, I still feel like my best golf is ahead of me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ewan, and as I mentioned, continued success with the book. We wish you nothing but success on the golf course as you compete throughout the year, and we look forward to seeing you in person once you're stateside. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Thanks very much for having me, Russ. I really appreciate it. All the best.